Hope Channel, changing lives.
The order of the day, although a lot of people are not talking about it, but today we are here to talk about it and to see how best we'll be able to help people who are planning or who are trying to do things that they are not supposed to do. So this afternoon, this evening, I once again welcome you to the program. And if you want to join this conversation, as usual, it's 0559 680066. That's our WhatsApp line. You can send your comment or your questions, and we'll have time to read them and answer them for you. And it is live on Facebook, so Hope TVGH on Facebook. So on YouTube, you can subscribe and just share for other people also to have a view of what is happening. Fabric by Slick Afrique as usual. If you want Slick Afrique, Instagram Slick Afrique, Facebook Slick Afrique. Their numbers is 0557 355 852. 0557 355 852. Just call them and select any fabric you want. They will bring it at your doorstep. And I told you the flyer that comes out all the time is being done by this wonderful gentleman, and the name is Alpha Art. Alpha Art, God bless you wherever you are for being there for me throughout the beginning of this program. You have been so awesome. If you want him to also design a flyer or any poster, any banner, whatever you want him to design, you can call Alpha Art on 0551 404 387. 0551 404 387, and Alpha Art will respond to your call. This afternoon, as I said, if you also want to help this program, if you want to sponsor anything about this program, I said the number also to call is 0559 5355 54. 0559 535554. And someone will speak to you someone will speak to you about it, and you can help Wounds of the Heart also grow from grace to grace and from strength to strength. This afternoon, this evening, sorry, we are here to, as I said, discuss a wonderful topic. I made a quote earlier on that divorce is like an amputation. You survive it, but that is less of you. There are a lot of factors that leads to divorce. Weddings that are done beautifully with bridal team, groomsmen, all these 3 months, 4 months. You could hear a lot of things happening at that same marriage, and you ask yourself, what is the reason? So we are here to talk about what divorce is. We are not going to go the legal way, but we're going to go the psychological way, and briefly we'll talk about what divorce is and the basis and the effect, psychological, being it on children, on the wife, on the husband, all these things, and we'll see how God will help us so that if you are thinking of divorce, you also rethink again. Once again, let me, Anna, welcome my guest, Seth. Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, last week we were here to talk about sexual abuse in marriage, and it's one of the factors that causes a lot of people to say it's done. But today, we've been hearing divorce, and as you counsel people comes to you. What is divorce from your end?
Well, as simple as it sounds, and as easy as what we all know, divorce is when two parties from our part of the world, a man and a woman, decide that they are no longer interested in being partners, and so they want the marriage dissolved, or they want to quit from the contract of marriage, because marriage is a contract as it stands. I mean, I do not claim to be a legal person, but of course the legal system constantly sends people who are on the verge of divorce to us for some evaluations to advise if there's a good grounds to allow a divorce to progress or not. So it's simply saying I'm tired and I don't want to be part of a certain union again.
You are tired?
Tired.
Viewers, well, I like the word he used, tired. And we are not going to quote from the scriptures. I'm hoping and praying to get a legal practitioner here one of the days, also go that way. So, so if I should get it right, it is two mature people getting together to marry, who have consent from their parents and legally accepted by law, signed Sunday, Saturday wedding, days wedding. And as we are speaking now, if AMA is not closed, people are signing because they want to get into marriage. And we see all these things, the flash weddings here and there. It's beautiful. And when you get to a point in time, your parents will be asking, hey, when are you going to get married? Marriage is beautiful. It's a beautiful institution because God created them. But I just want to ask, statistically, in your end, what the divorce rates, if you know something about it, as we stand in Ghana, can you tell us something about that?
Well, you see, the interesting thing is, generally there's been an increase in the divorce rates from some very shallow polls. So this is not like a nationwide data collected to analyze divorce rates, but from some polls that have been conducted, currently the divorce rate stands at about 10% of the general population, as compared to maybe 2010 when it was just 3.4%. So there's been a significant increase in the number of divorces that we're experiencing. Now, I would say that even that is underreported because perhaps most people, I mean, it's not captured that they're actually undergoing a divorce. Because if you look at the many marriage procedures we have, especially under customary marriages, the process of divorce is very different from the legal aspect where you have to sign at a court. But with what the stats you made is those that legally, those that we can take data of that. Okay, so they've come to the court, they've signed. But a lot of people who also are divorced at home, but facially people, we see them working with their husbands and with their wives beautifully, going to church, going to the mosque, wherever they find themselves. Yes. So with what you just said, the stats telling us the rate increasing in Ghana. I was reading the basis of divorce, the grounds for divorce, let me put it that way. And I read from California that you can't tell me fornication or adultery is not used as a base if you want to divorce. In India, they have something called conversion. If I'm a Christian, I'm married to a Christian, and later on my wife tells me that, okay, no, I can't be a Christian again, but I want to be a Muslim. It's a basis for me divorcing. But in Ghana, what are some of the bases? What are the grounds rule for somebody to say, I'm tired, the word you used? Well, basically the most significant basis for divorce, even the world over, had always been infidelity or adultery. Okay, yes, but it's changing gradually as rights of autonomy are gaining grounds. So now it can be as simple as I just want out and I'm out. So in Ghana, we know that infidelity is one of the most significant drivers of divorce. We also know that having behaviors that perhaps are unreasonable, which could involve abuse, can also constitute the grounds for a divorce. We know that if one partner suddenly gets up and leaves the house, and for 2 years has not been in the house or is not with a partner, without the partner's consent, is also grounds for divorce. And we also know that if two partners, even though they consent, so you see, typically, if you look at our structure, when people are having lots of issues, they advocate that, okay, let them separate so that they can deal with their issues or get help and then come back together. But if they do that, so that's a consenting separation. They consent and they do that. Now, if they do that after 5 years and they are not back together, that's also a grounds for divorce. So these are the things that at least I know regarding the basis for divorce in our part of the world.
But from what you're saying, okay, fine. In Ghana, not having living with your partner for about 2 years is a ground for divorce. Fine. I travel for greener pastures. My wife knows I'm gone. A year she has never heard of me. 2 years she has never heard of me. 3 years, can she, from the grounds you're making, can she?
Of course. If she's not heard of you, then it almost seems like you are not existing. Now, they will not hold her liable for initiating or to actually ask for this person I'm with, I can't be with anymore because I don't hear from them, so I want a divorce. And it's within their legal right to ask for that, per what the law is saying.
Okay. But the woman knew that the husband says he's going for a greener pasture to bring something home. But according to Muslim, no one probably might know what is happening.
In the past, we would have agreed. But in the modern time, because of how the world has become a global village, communication is so open. There is no way you can say you haven't heard from someone in that long, except perhaps they've passed on, or they are intentionally deciding not to get in touch.
The reason being that when you hear stories from people that they were going for a greener pasture, some I can say are in jail, and because of one or two reasons they couldn't make it. They are in jail, and
even in jail you can make calls.
You can make a call, okay. Then still the husband can't say that because of A or two reasons why I couldn't call my wife. But there's another beautiful thing when it comes to the grounds of divorce in Ghana. Viewers, we are dealing with we are now home in our land. We said about the 2 year non-consent when the husband
partner,
or the partner doesn't know. But unreasonable I saw something called unreasonable behavior.
Yes.
In your view, when we talk about unreasonable behavior, fine, he is not a legal practitioner, but as a psychologist, he has something. What reasonable behavior? What do they mean when it comes to that?
There are several of them, and like I mentioned, abuse is one of the most significant reports that we get when the court sends people to us. So it's like you're abusing your partner, either sexually, physically, economically, emotionally, psychologically, and they're tired. And clearly you can see the effects of it. Now, the second one we notice a lot of has to do with a lack of or the inability to meet fiduciary responsibilities, provision. So a neglect of children and partner, or a neglect of the well-being of the family as a unit can also be a grounds for, because you are not meeting, and they call it unreasonable behavior.
Unreasonable behavior, okay.
Okay, and that usually brings about several complaints from the partner who is, for lack of a better word, suffering to that behavior that the unreasonable behavior. Exactly.
Okay. So if your brother or your husband, or if you have a brother who had married this beautiful lady or woman into his house, and what he just said, unreasonable behavior, if your brother is unreasonably treating the wife a way that you think as a sibling, as a sister, as a brother, you think that it is not right, please, let's try to talk to them. If a wife is also unreasonably dealing with the husband in a way that is not right, and that wife is your sister or your whatever, your friend, please, if you are watching this program, it will be very prudent for you to also share the same link. And if you have a question, as I said, you can send it, because we are dealing with what we call divorce. The lady or the guy says, I need a divorce. And why would they need divorce? Is because of what we are discussing now. And now when I was researching, there are different kinds of divorce. What brought about different kinds of divorce?
Well, I guess they have to make distinctions between. So, for example, I know that when it comes to a main divorce, it's different from what we call an annulment. So, in an annulment, the parties say they want a divorce. They are separated from each other, but they are still legally married.
That's an annulment.
That's an annulment.
Okay. The man is staying somewhere, woman is staying somewhere.
Exactly. Now, you see, interestingly, that concept of living culturally is nothing new. Among certain cultures, men live apart from their partners. it is quite usual in certain ethnic groups in our country where the man lives differently and comes to the wife to eat and goes, etc., etc. So sometimes when these things come about, it's confusing to understand whether contextually it is right or wrong, or whether it holds a basis or a grounds. So for example, I've worked with a client who, when they started the relationship, the man lived away, the woman lived away, and then when they started to have kids and a couple of years into their marriage, the woman started applying pressure to live with the man, and that was overwhelming for him.
So
he says he doesn't want it, and it became the basis for a lot of arguments and fights. Exactly.
So you see, I don't know, but you see, divorce is divorce.
Yes.
But there's this thing called no fault divorce, uncontested divorce, contested divorce. These things, all these things, to my best of knowledge, what implies is still there's a separation between the man and the woman, and they cease not to be husband and wives again.
Exactly.
Fine. So no fault divorce means that fine. I'll be there. Okay.
I want it. You want it. You've not done anything.
Then you go and say, "You want to be."
Yes. And it will interest you to know that the factors that lead to divorce in the modern times, one major thing is people growing apart. Now, if you ask me about, in my experience, what is the central basis of many divorces, I would tell you that it is poor communication and a lack of communication.
I think we need to add that one because it's killing a lot of marriages.
Yes, that's what I would say. Because at the end of the day, we always get people giving us some excuse of why they were involved in infidelity. Because my wife did this or my husband did this. I felt that he wasn't there for me, she wasn't there for me. Now, those things are based or they are premised on a certain assumption that we make. Now, when you don't communicate much, you make more assumptions. So instead of asking the question, yesterday or of late, you are not coming home early. What is happening? You make an assumption, then you're probably seeing somebody else. Now, that assumption is going to make you react in a certain way.
Exactly, because
that action will bring about another reaction.
Okay.
And the assumptions, of course, by and large, assumptions are mostly negative.
Definitely.
It's a human thing. Assumptions are looking at the worst case scenario. So if you're not communicating or you don't open the doors to be able to communicate openly with your partner, other things may get in the way of you seeing what the real picture is. There are several other risk factors that can still be limited to assumptions. See, for example, you have risk factors that involve cohabiting. So there's a risk factor for divorce that says that people who start cohabiting early are more likely to get a divorce. Same way, people who marry earlier are more likely to get a divorce. And one thing you need to understand is, during that early phase of marriage, like when you marry at a younger age, now psychologically we say that that's a stage of what we call intimacy. So many people at a certain stage in life, they crave intimacy. And so it seems like a generally good idea to want to marry. Unfortunately, marriage comes with its own complexities.
Exactly.
And because you are not mature enough to deal with these complexities, it becomes the basis for fights and arguments. And the more arguments you have, the more difficult it is for partners to feel together. And sometimes the assumptions will roll in the background where your partner may even see you and say good morning. And then in your mind, he's just trying to do this to annoy me. So it comes back to, for me, in my experience with all the work I've done, communication is a big deal. And I'll give you a specific example. There was a couple that was sent to us for evaluation, and they'd been married for 3 years. great. I mean, they're all doing very well in their career. They didn't have a child. Suddenly, their relationship started to take a downturn. And what pushed them so much for them to want a divorce was that they hadn't been intimate for 9 months, even though they lived in the same house.
9 months.
9 months. They hadn't been intimate. They lived in the same house. Husband would provide, wife would provide, and they lived easily. But at some point, they said no. Well, they came to me, and as I started to ask the questions, as usual, I would ask for the most obvious things. Is he beating you? No. Is she beating you? No. Has he cheated or has she cheated? No. I mean, I'm asking all these questions, there's nothing.
Nothing.
Then we push, and then the husband makes a statement that says, how can you be married to somebody you can't be intimate with?
Okay, then that was the point.
So I said, okay, that's it. That's a good start. But why aren't you intimate? She started acting up. Assumption. So at the end of the day, this is what happened. Husband works in a bank, got a promotion. Now, as part of the promotion, he had to stay to ensure that everything was, bankers, balanced before he left for work. So he used to come home at 7:30. He started coming home at, let's say, 8:30. And the wife made an assumption that 1 hour
is seeing
someone else, okay? So husband comes home, tries to be nice to his wife. Her wife is giving an attitude. He also makes another assumption. Hey, maybe she's also getting attention from somewhere. And they all start making several lines of assumptions, causing action and reaction, So they lived in the house, and that was basically what was going on. Well, thankfully, they are still married, because I sent them home to be intimate.
We thank God. So, but as he said, what you are saying, viewers, there's something I'm picking here. Communication, right?
Yeah.
So when we assume my husband is cheating on me, when I assume my wife is cheating on me, assumptions could create reality.
Yes.
Because that is what the mind is developing. So he doesn't know. Most people will come to the asofo and the counselors with that certain assumption that, asofo, I think I can marry this woman. Why? Because I think. But then I ask, have you seen it? Have you? Oh no, I haven't seen it. But sometimes I will see her skipping, putting some weird password on her phone, or him putting weird password, and all these things are assumptions. But I believe that from what you said, communication-wise, if we should ask questions, if we should sit ourselves down, I'm not sure the one who is thinking of divorce as we are speaking now would even think about. And another thing you said, marrying at a younger age, the intimacy. There are a lot of marriages that are collapsed, that are dissolved, that are divorced, whatever,
yes.
Because they married earlier.
Yes.
And I don't know, guys or ladies might think that it's my time. I was saying this thing before, that it's my time, so let me marry. And that probably will lead to think of divorce.
Well, you see, like we I can't do this anymore. So that's something that is clear with most with another person. They feel betrayed. They feel that they've chosen another person over them.
The husband.
And it affects their esteem. So they start to rage and they want to show that I am the man again. And those things can bring so many other challenges. It's the same for a woman. And then they'll start to doing, so lots of women will do comparisons. What is it about that other woman? What is it she has I don't have? And they start to feel less of themselves. So you see the implication out of the couples say, people have told me that I should not worry, I should just let it go. I can relate that they want to help, They obviously have seen what might happen when you actually have a divorce. But at the same time, they are not recognizing that in-depth vulnerability that's been created in the person. That pain, where they constantly look at their partner and all they can remember is the other person who the infidelity was caused with. One of my clients gave me a very graphic representation of something. And as I tried to imagine it, it was weird. So it's like this. A man cheats on the wife. And people are saying, let it go, let it go, let it go. So we're doing a session and she's telling me, you know, when my husband and I are being intimate, she tells me this. He does this for me. He tells me I'm the best blood. So is he telling her the same thing? So you can imagine how that pain will re-echo consistently. So the pain doesn't just die off. It keeps spiraling. So there are times where they'd say, okay, fine, I'll let it go. And they remember, and the hurt is too much,
I can't.
And it's back again.
Infidelity. What of domestic abuse?
Well, for that, of course, is even I am an advocate for, and of course, when it comes to abuse, the first thing we say is we get the person to safety. So if it means a divorce, it's important. Now, one of the findings about abusers is they hardly change. Do you get the point? They hardly change. So for a lot of people who have been abused, in the beginning of the abuse was something happened, they told one or two people about it. It seemed like their partner had turned over a new leaf, and the abuse continued. And they abused for talking to somebody about it. So the fact that I sought help, I'm abused even more for it. And then I get into a state of learned helplessness where I'm unable to go. But I'm in a lot of pain also there. So I can't deal with it. Now, we've had people attempt suicide because of such abuses, as I think is the best way. And someone told me before, well, like the vow said, till death do us part. So if I can't get a legal divorce, I could get a divorce by death.
By death. You see, you are telling us things that probably the mind has never thought of.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, fine, so till death do us part. The abusers normally doesn't change, as you're saying. There are always cycles when, at the point in time, the abuser become calm after apologizing and all those things, buying, showering gifts and stuff like that. And a trigger will happen, and beatings will come
again,
almost, and those cycles. So, if that person is experiencing set things in her life or his life, definitely the option will be divorce. If not, suicide follows. As you said, or probably people will start taking drugs or.
They are looking for avenues to escape the pain.
Okay.
Now, that escape could be permanently, like running away. And hiding away from that person. You know, some time ago we spoke about, I think it was about stalkers. So you see, like when somebody is in an abusive relationship and then they want out, the person who is abusing them usually is doing that to gain some power.
Exactly.
Now, if the person goes away, they have nothing. So majority of homicides or deaths that people experience as a result of moving away from an abuser was experienced after they left, not during the relationship, because the abuser has nothing else. So they'll go every length. So some people are looking for an avenue to just escape, run and hide, so the person and I have no contact ever again. And some people try to just deal with it by engaging in what we call coping behaviors.
Okay.
Sometimes the use of drugs to give them a temporary feeling of happiness, because it's all doom in their in their little family. So if I can do something else, and sometimes it will actually propel someone to also go out there and find happiness, and that could be also a basis for adultery or infidelity that we're talking about.
All right, I did a little search and I realized that commitment is one of the causes, and health issues. I don't know. To you, have someone come to tell you that also? Do you know what? She's been sick, or she has been sick from the day we married, or he has been sick from the day we married. I can't anymore.
Very good. It's just like partners getting frustrated because in their mind that's not what they bargained for. Okay. For example, a partner two people get married, and a few months after they marry, they have maybe a job loss, and there's a financial constraint. Okay. It's the same pain they experience. So in as much as you want to be there, you also realize that you are suffering, and you wish you had better. Now with chronic illness, because we have to be breaking these news all the time, we have people confiding in us about how terrible they feel to have to wake up every morning and know that I can't do anything about this, and my partner is in this state, and I have to perhaps stop some of the things I do. Like sometimes it affects even your livelihood and your work, just to take care of this person. And people have set amazing expectations. I tell people the best way to get into marriage is to lower your expectation.
Okay.
See, people have some very irrational expectations about marriage in some way. For instance, many marriages in the initial stages are fake. Everybody's trying to be extremely lovey-dovey, they are sharing gifts. And we find that marriages that start that way are more likely to crash.
Exactly.
As compared to marriages that offer the whole package as they are. Like I come like how I'm always going to be. You see? So when you have created such a high and suddenly you have a dip, obviously frustration is going to happen. And the frustration could be a basis for a person saying, look, I can't do this anymore. In as much as I care and I want to love you, I can't love you in this state. And it's a whole psychological turmoil they are going through because they have to contend, especially in our part of the world. When you're considering divorce, you're considering and contending with the fact that all your church members will ask you. Your family members will all be in the mix. And so it's not so simple a process.
The outside,
So you have to contend with all the challenges that come with that before the divorce itself.
We'll go for break, but before then, why do you think that, aside being the intimacy aspect you spoke about, getting too young to get married, why getting too young becomes a factor of divorce? Aside
it's because of one. See, when you are younger, you have more expectations in life, and you are still within an immature state to some extent, and so the things that appeal to you are quite different. It's just like, so let me take it from a younger age. Children in their teenage years, when you talk to them and you say steady heart is for your future, it doesn't make sense. What do you mean by it's for my future? Mommy and daddy provide for me.
Exactly.
So what is it about my future? That's what it seems like, okay? Now, so one key characteristic is when you're married in an immature state, one, perhaps because you are not so old, financially you are not so solid. Psychologically also you are not so solid. So these could be predisposing factors to you having more challenges within the marriage. Now, also, marriages come with many, many conflicts. And conflicts are not a bad thing. They're actually good. It's the way that a conflict is handled. That is the main concern. And at that stage, where everybody is hot-blooded. So in a conflict, people will choose a win over consideration. So that immaturity is part of the reason. And also don't forget that at that time, when you say you marry 24, 25, you still feel you're on the market.
Exactly.
And if you don't have a child, you can say, let me just get out of this. And we also find that people who have had multiple relationships and young who marry are more likely to get out because they make a lot of comparisons.
I like this particular point. In as much as we are saying that marrying too young is a factor of divorce. One, a young man getting married at the age of 24, 25, lavishly, wedding, beautifully. and we has multiple
who has had multiple relationships
before the marriage, and
yes,
if the wife, the current wife, is not meeting some expectations,
exactly,
definitely there might be there will be.
You see, the need to make comparisons is a natural part of human existence. So we make comparisons at every turn. So what happens is, when you have dated someone who used to be concerned about your eating so much, and now you are dating someone who is not concerned,
so
you start to wonder, hey, or did I make a mistake? But I'm still young, I can leave. Or you had someone who used to lavish with you with gifts, and now you have somebody who's saying, let's focus on the future, let's save. So instead of buying you that expensive whatever, let's put it in an account so that tomorrow we can build. And you say, Massa, we want something to eat today.
What
if I die tomorrow?
We'll go chop 'em.
Exactly. So you see, all those things fall within the concept of the immaturity which comes along with being young. And being young, yes, comes along with immaturity.
It's okay to have a multiple relationship. Probably you are still searching for Mr. Right and Mrs. Right, as we normally say that. But the act that goes on during that multiple relationship, it's the one that will cause a divorce.
It is not necessarily about sex.
No. Not what you're doing, because as you said, somebody checking up on food, your eating habit, making sure you're exercising, and your husband or your wife is not talking about that.
Good.
He doesn't care about that. How the relationship gets to, and you don't marry such a person, you marry somebody who doesn't do exactly what even your just past ex was helping you to do.
So we need to recognize that we are all very different and unique.
Exactly.
And that's the basis. Like, understanding individual variability makes you lower your expectations of people. So you don't say you should know. Which are the statements that normally puts people on the defensive? He should have known. She should have known.
From where?
You should know better. They are expectations. You see, those are expectations. And whenever you communicate in the you sentence, people feel attacked. So they get defensive.
Okay.
And then the fight begins.
All right. So the program is Wounds of the Heart. We are discussing I Need a Divorce. We just started with what divorce is, how, and we are still talking about causes of divorce. In case you just joined in, that's what we're doing. I will go for this break. When I return, we'll talk about how the effect of divorce to the husband, the wife, the children, the family, society, and probably you who are watching. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Are you aware that the foundation of all secular laws are based in the Bible, especially the Ten Commandments? That most Christians are not aware of the laws governing them. They are not aware that their knowledge or otherwise of the law can either make or break them. Remember that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So why don't you join me, Anita Delight Dankwa, and my expert guest as we discuss all legal matters, from family law to immigration law and everything in between. Yes, join us on the Law Chamber, where we discuss all legal matters from a Christian perspective on Hope Channel, your preferred Christian channel.
In a world where hopelessness stirs us from dawn to dusk, our only source of solace remains in the blessed hope of our redemption through Jesus Christ. It is for this purpose that the Adventist Youth Ministry, in partnership with the Southwest Ghana Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, brings to you a program dubbed Hope in the Troubled World. God's anointed servants, Pastor Godfred Kwesi Ataburo and Pastor Alfred Kwesi Esiem, will be ministering to us from the Takoradi Central Seventh-day Adventist Church live on Hope Channel Ghana each day, starting from the 16th to the 22nd of May, 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. each day. This program will replicate in all Adventist churches across the nation. Christ is expecting us to spread the good news. I will go. Will you?
for staying with me throughout the program. If in case you just joined, we are discussing I need a divorce. There have been some questions I want us to read so that my learned colleague here will kind of explain it for us. Okay, he said, Eric Soa, great show program. Yes, I really agree with the communication. It is very important for marriage couples to communicate a lot. So he's putting his weight on the communication aspect that has been causing divorce. And this is from Elder Dr. J.B. Fojo of Penkwasi SDA Church Nyane. And I said we will need to find time to meet. I need to see you, Eda. Thank you for discussing this all-important topic today. It is one thing God says he hates. Unfortunately, according to the guest today, the rates are very high these days. Another common cause for divorce, but shouldn't be, it's a childless marriage. Have you received such?
Yeah, severally, but it's usually not direct.
Oh, okay.
So the childless marriage means more frustration on the part of the man,
okay,
which may push them to infidelity or adultery.
Oh, okay.
Or push them to start abusing their partner, to want to just let go of them, so they can be free to pursue another avenue for a child.
All right. This is psychological perspective. This is also for perspective. God giveth. It's children are heritage. It is a gift from God. So whoever will give you the gift when it is your time, he will dash you your gift. So please, Eda, thank you so much. People are divorcing based on the fact that the wives are not giving them their children. We don't marry because of child. Do we? I don't know. I'm not sure marriage should be as a result of giving birth.
So you see, that comes back to the expectations I was talking about.
Okay.
You see, for somebody, the expectation of marriage is to have a child or children. Anything shy of that starts to cause significant frustration. And sometimes, because it might make you sound insensitive, they won't talk about it. They start to act it out. So they act out their frustrations, and it starts to affect their partner.
All right.
But we have encouraged people to be open, to tell your partner, I'm frustrated that we don't have children, rather than you are quiet, but you are maltreating your partner because you feel it's his fault or her fault.
Okay. All right. So please, how can you divorce someone who doesn't give you a chance to divorce him, even if you want to do so? Should we leave it to the
That's the legal. We should leave it to the legal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm praying hard to get a legal practitioner here, so that probably all these questions, all the legal questions, will be asked to my legal practitioner for him or her to answer that question. Okay, David Mensa, they are divorced nowadays because most people pretend to be who they are not and what they don't have. Expectation
Still.
But don't you think, Seth, don't you think that nowadays ladies, if I'm wrong, ladies don't want to breed in that code. Now
nobody wants to breed.
So now marriages are not as our papas and mamas were. Now it is about material. What is there? Not about we will struggle. We will go through step by step. We need to do this and do that. So when you are bringing somebody home, the questions our parents will ask, what does he do? So if he's a banker, for sure, they can be loan. They can, you see, bankers, forgive me, I'm just, they can be loan. But if the person is doing, is a carpenter, he's a carpenter that have been no penny idea for him, but they've forgotten that there are carpenters who are getting somewhere with furniture now. Counselor, please help me with this.
You see, there was a time that people advocated that financial resources was not a good basis for making a selection for marriage. Now, as the world becomes harder by the day, as bills increase, it means frustration will also invariably increase. Therefore, a good financial standing allows for less frustrations that may predispose many fights and many arguments that can lead to a divorce. I am not advocating that. I mean, the word rich and poor is even very subjective to use,
depending on the person.
Okay? Yeah. But I would say that it's important to look at the person who is interested in making it work regardless of whatever, rather than
Exactly.
I have it, but I wish, it's like saying if I have one CD, I will use it in the best interest of my partner and family. That's what I advocate for. There are people who have and will never give. So you have a partner who has and won't give you. Then what is the basis? Exactly.
And even other partners, probably economical abuse might also restrict the wife or you. Now, as one of the factors I'm thinking of, I don't know if you help out. Now, divorce has become fashion, and we have single mothers, and you see, people are getting happy about it. I don't need husband. I don't need. What I need is my child's father, like the baby mama, baby father, whatever. Fashion. Do you side with that? I don't know, but I think it is also taking another.
It is. So I mean that would directly bring us to some of the effects.
Okay.
That
why? Okay.
Not just even a divorce, a separation can have on the development of a child. You see, in many families where we have delinquent children, or as it were, children who are not well behaved, have either a behavioral or a psychological challenge, there's an absence of one parent. So in families where it's just the mother or just the father, we tend to see more significant psychological challenges. It has to do with either esteem, or it has to do with extreme anger, or it has to do with poor academic work. So in as much as it's become a fashion, and of course now as more women take up roles that makes them self-sufficient, it becomes almost more common. And this is where I keep saying that the generational gap is something that we all need to put into perspective. So when you are going to marry and you are a kind of man who likes to sit down, you say, me, I don't eat food that's in the fridge. You have to cook it fresh. Me, you have to wash my clothes with your hand.
Not much.
Please, you have to be careful the kind of woman you are marrying.
Exactly.
You should match. So that's where compatibility issues come in.
Exactly.
If you go and marry a high-profile career woman who doesn't have the time, obviously you're going to have conflicts. So it's equally important, the compatibility issues in terms of career, ethnicity, religion, even sex. So another angle, it has to do with religious and ethnic.
Exactly. Okay, but you can still add it.
Which comes in a lot of the time. A Muslim and a Christian have married, or a Catholic and an Adventist are married. The child starts to grow. Whose church are they going to? And it becomes an issue.
Yeah, exactly.
No, even though it seems like, and most people will say before they get there, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And they get there and it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So doctrinal issues. Religion it's also a factor depending on where I worship and where the lady worships.
Exactly.
So probably that's why churches are saying
advocating for the people to marry within,
even not within the same church. If I'm an Adventist, another Adventist. If I'm Pentecost, another Pentecost. That goes in line than to, because in India, as I said, that in India conversion. If the person is an Hindu and at the point in time he said, I don't want to be a Hindu, I want to be Muslim, it's a ground for a divorce.
Yes.
So I think that, but with the religiosity about what we're saying, when the child grows, where are they going to? Fine, they will say that, fine, we are living together, everything is beautiful. Because, yes, I know somebody who married somebody who is not from the same church, but they are beautiful, they are going on, so I can also do that. What is your little counsel to that?
You see, this is the challenge. If I am a staunch Adventist, my wife is not an Adventist, I'm teaching my child the doctrines of Adventism, and my wife also wants to teach the doctrines of, say, being Catholic. We are confusing the child for one. And it becomes a battle.
Who is winning the child?
Good. I've had instances of people who now their children will go to church Saturday and Sunday because daddy wants to take him, mommy also wants to take him or her. And that becomes a whole banter which is unnecessary. And let's not even talk about ethnic things too. We don't want you marrying from this tribe.
From this tribe, yeah.
And you marry. And there's so much frustration from the larger family to the extent that you start to take out your frustrations on your individual partner. And then you reach an impasse, and your partner says, I don't think I can do this anymore. So I just, please, it's okay for me. I don't want to do this anymore.
But when somebody marries from another ethnic, and unless they don't come for blessings, the blessings we always say the father will bless them, and they marry. What of the family intrusion to the marriage? Can it cause?
Of course, family intrusion is spousal. I mean, what do we call that? I've forgotten the technical term, but yes, family members and their intrusions in a marriage can be a significant basis of distress within the marriage, which predisposes them to more arguments. So it's not a direct cause of a divorce, but it causes a lot of mini reactions.
Okay.
Like I have a client whose in-laws moved in with them the day they got married. In fact, when they came back from their honeymoon, the in-laws were at home.
Hey, over then.
And the in-laws stayed in their house for months. And when he complained, the partner would say, you don't like my parents.
My parents.
So there's so much frustration. And a marriage that's full of frustration is destined for crashing. It will crash.
Well, I have 5 minutes to end my program, but I want us to begin with the effect of divorce. The filing for divorce, we will leave that to the legal people, but psychologists, what are the effects of divorce?
Okay. So generally, divorce brings a general sense of mistrust for the other partner. So usually the person who's asking for the divorce would cause a general sense of mistrust for. So let's say a man asks for a divorce against a woman. The woman starts to have a general sense of mistrust for men.
For men.
Which affects the way they relate with other people and affects their relationship with the male species going forward, and the vice versa is also true for women. Now, it also brings about a loss of self-esteem because people tend to feel like if this is crashing, then perhaps I'm not worthy. They left me because I wasn't worthy. And that feeling of a loss of self-worth can transcend beyond just marriage into your job, not feeling adequate in the job you do, etc., etc. And then for most people, because of the pain they go through, they tend to become very angry people because of the frustration, especially when they don't have a good social support system where they can talk about this. Now, one very important thing we all need to know is when you have a divorce and you are in a lot of pain, you need to talk about it. But most people don't want to talk about it. It's difficult. Like with people I know who've been through a divorce, when you ask them how is it going, they're like, hey, it's good for me, or it's good. I've left.
There are things going on.
We call that a defense mechanism. That's rationalization. You finding excuses why it's good the relationship ended, when the fact is that you have been dumped. And until you can accept the fact that you have been dumped, it's difficult to get past it. Now, let's look at the effect on children. And like I started saying, it causes significant behavioral and psychological challenges in a lot of children. Now, because of several frustrations, in most cases, frustrations build up to a divorce, which means there are going to be several fights between mom and dad that the children are observing. And depending on the age at which the child is, the effects may be different. Younger children tend not to understand what is going on, and they sometimes feel like it is their fault. And let's not forget that some of these fights can be as easy as child is playing, mommy says go and learn, daddy says play, and then a fight starts because there's already tension. So then the child starts to feel like it's their fault, and they go to school and then their academics are just suddenly dropping. They are generally fearful, not knowing when the next fight will come, because sometimes when these fights come, people will use their children to punish their partners. So they're in the middle of a lot of turmoil. Now, coupled with the fact that the whole adjustment of divorce which is having to live with one parent when they are not used to it, is difficult. And then it comes to the financial issues, where before it's 2 combined incomes and now it's 1. And there's a lot of pressure on one party over the other. Or in some instances, when a court of law rules that a huge chunk of your finances must go to one partner, because so you see, all those things bring about a sense of resentment, and the children will bear the consequence of that. And then if you look at our part of the world, because we are a more collectivist culture, the many bridges that are burnt between families is equally significant.
Viewers, he's not done yet. He's not done yet. He's not done yet. He's not done yet, and we still need to. Time is up already, but we need to. We'll come again. We'll come again anytime. We'll come again to continue with this divorce, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are still contemplating, and they are asking themselves a lot of questions. So can this be? Can this be? At his own time, when we have time again, we'll come. And even with, especially with the children, divorce on children, it's a huge thing. So if you are thinking of divorcing, please wait till we are done with the effect on you yourself, if you are the man, and if you are the woman, and especially if you have children. Family members, fine. You might think you can show them, but they will also be affected. But the one I don't want us to hurt most are the children who have done nothing. We will have time to come your way once again. Let me use this opportunity. Our time, I don't know why the time ran like that, because we are talking about divorce, and we need to take our time too. And he has been so wonderful with us. God bless you, and viewers, God bless you for watching and for also sending your contribution here and there. For us to also understand the fact that it is important that we need to think and to know something before we get along in making a decision in life. As I'm saying, wounds of the heart, we still need people, benevolent ones, who out of compassion will try to help, or will want to help this program to go far. This year we want to hit the studios, the campuses, the students. We need to talk to them. We need to go to them. We need to come to churches. We need to fly high with this program. So if you want to help, if you want to sponsor this program, as I'm saying, the number to call is 0559 535554. 0559 535554. If you want us to come to you, we will definitely come to you. Call us. Let's talk together as to how best we can carry this program far. Slick Afri, God bless you for the fabrics that you always give me. Alpha Art, God bless you for the flyers you've been doing, and God bless any one of you who you are helping. I know, Dr. Fojo, one day we're going to meet, because you have been a regular contributor to this wonderful program. I'll be very glad if you will leave your contact with, or you call my line so that we talk from there. I'll be very glad. Seth, God bless you. I hope and pray that you get time for us to continue with this beautiful conversation that we have started. I want to help other people not to consider divorce, but if you are considering it already, let's help you to overcome the causes, so that those causes will turn into blessings for your marriage to grow once again. I've been so much happy for you being with me throughout the day. I've been your regular host, and the name is Pastor Danabedi Bidiaba. I'm out.
In a world where hopelessness stirs us from dawn to dusk, our only source of solace remains in the blessed hope of our redemption through Jesus Christ. It is for this purpose that the Adventist Youth Ministry, in partnership with the Southwest Ghana Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, brings to you a program dubbed Hope in the Troubled World. God's anointed servants